Welcome back to FM Storey. In the last episode, we began a new adventure in this South American glory to save. We went to Colombia. We joined Junior after 3 games of their league season. We've played 7 games since then. We've drawn 2 and won 5 of those. And things are going pretty well. We're currently sat second in the table. We ended the last episode beating one of the teams that were joint top. Hopefully we can find ourselves into the top 8 to qualify for the semi-final of this Apertura in the league, with the aim of making the final and hopefully winning that opening stage of the league phase. So without further ado, let's get into the action. We are into April, and it is the last day of the league phase, or the first league phase of the Apertura League. And as you can see from the league table, things have gone pretty well. When we left off at the end of the last episode, we were in second behind Cúcuta Deportivo. We'd just beaten Deportivo Cali, who were joint top at that point in time. As you can see from the league table, they have collapsed over this second half of the opening league phase. We have managed to do a bit of transfer business. Even though the transfer window closed, there was a free transfer window opened for a week, and it coincided with a player that we signed at Internacional in Alanzinho having his contract mutually terminated by Internacional. We've picked him up just to add some experience and a bit of quality in the attacking areas of the pitch. But as we said, we ended the last episode with a 1-0 victory over Deportivo Cali. Since then, we beat America de Cali 1-0 in the next game. We went out on penalties to a fellow Colombian club, Águilas Doradas, in the Copa Sudamericana preliminary round. Obviously, the board weren't happy with that. We're not too bothered because we've already won the Copa Sudamericana with Vélez. We then went top of the table, having beaten Cúcuta Deportivo 2-1. And then we had a bit of a rough patch. We drew with Boca Juniors de Cali. We lost our first game in charge, but the second game of the season, to Deportivo Pereira. And then we had a couple of draws away at Independiente Medellin. And then we drew again, as we did in the Copa Sudamericana, with Águilas Doradas at home. But then we've bounced back to winning ways with a 2-0 victory over Deportivo Pasto and a 3-1 victory over Once Caldas. So going into the last game of this opening phase, we are top of the table. The top 8 qualify for the semi-finals, where it splits into 2 groups of 4, where you play each team home and away, and then the winners of those 2 groups then go into the final to battle it out to be crowned the Apertura champions. I mean, one of our signings this season that we did pick up earlier on was Jeremias Gallard, who has come in and been a star for us. He's got the highest average rating in the league currently. Aldair Zarate, despite having some fitness issues in the central midfield, playing the deep line playmaker role, has provided some key assists. And things are going pretty well considering the state we found the squad in at the start of our time there, with 1 centre-half, 1 goalkeeper. We have kind of rounded into a bit of form, and hopefully we can win this last game of the opening league phase to send us into the semi-final stage with a bit of confidence. So going into this last game of the opening stage against Deporte Tolima, who are down in 11th and could, depending on other results, potentially make it into the top 8. We have had to make some changes. So Arboleda, who we signed as centre-half straight away after taking charge, he's suspended. So Wilman Farah had played in defensive midfield last week, but with Colorado back, Farah drops back into the centre of defence. And then we've had to make a change at left back. We've had to kind of alternate the left back due to fitness issues. Higuita played there in the last game. He picked up another knock, So Herrera comes back in at left back. And then in terms of the attacking area of the pitch, we've actually gone with Hulimar, who we were playing through the middle, wide right. We've got Alanzinho in the number 10 role with Gallard through the middle, which is a bit of a difference. We had Gallard playing in the number 10 role before we signed Alanzinho. So it's 4-2-3-1 against 4-2-3-1. Very little of anything happening early on. We've had one shot in the whole game. Cano to Alanzinho, back to Zarate. Farah goes long over the top. It's headed clear. And now Tolima can bring it forwards. Pisciotti wins the header. But they're now attacking. Approaching the edge of the box. Pisciotti gets a block in. And how we haven't gone behind there, I don't know. Right, Zarate with a free kick. Chip towards the box. It's headed on. And just lands on the roof of the net. Herrera with a throw. Cantillo back to him. Back to Cantillo in the box. Back to Herrera. We've wasted several chances to get across in there. Zarate, though, drove towards the edge of the box and just couldn't keep it down. And there we are, half-time 0-0. We've had all the chances apart from that first chance we saw for Tolima. And it has been a bit of a thing this season that we haven't scored as many goals as we should have done. They've obviously already been forced into 2 changes. I think we'll keep it the same as it is and see if we can get a breakthrough early in the second half. Right, Alanzinho finds Colorado. Out to Cano. Cross towards the back post. It's headed away from Cantillo. Herrera, though, crosses. And there it was. Hulimar at the back post was able just to push a volley back to where it came from, past the keeper. Puts us 1-0 up. And just continues the good form we've been in. Herrera just mopping up there. Gets to the byline. Just hammers across over. And really the keeper should have done better, but we'll take it because we're 1-0 up. So we brought some fresh legs on just to give some players a bit of a break before the semi-final round. Alanzinho loses out. It was crowded off the ball. They went long. Herrera, who's now at right back, gets across to make the challenge. The cross still comes in eventually. Got a head on it. Colorado goes in and blocks that one. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a block on that one, and it's 1-1. I mean, we did pretty well on that one, but then when the ball comes back in, Palacios made the run away from the defence and just turned and fired past the keeper. Right, we made another couple of changes at the top end just to get some fresh legs on. And there we go, 1-1 in a game we dominated. I mean, luckily there wasn't anything really riding on it, but we need to be better in front of goal than that in the semi-final phase. We're now approaching the end of May, and we're at the end of the semi-final group stage of the Apertura, and things have not gone particularly well. We've got the last game coming up against Atletico Nacional next, but we started the semi-final group stage with a 2-1 loss away at Independiente Medellin. We were 1-0 up. They got 2 goals very quickly after we took the lead, and then we also missed a penalty. We then did bounce back with a couple of wins at home. We beat America de Cali 3-1. We then beat Atletico Nacional 3-1 before drawing the away game against America de Cali, which meant after 4 games, we were second in the group with 7 points behind Independiente Medellin's 9 points. However, the home game against Independiente Medellin, we were 1-0 down. We went 2-1 up. They scored a goal pretty quickly after extra time. and then a late own goal from Santiago Guzman meant that Independiente Medellin finished top of the group stage with a game to spare, and meant that our game against Atletico Nacional really doesn't have anything going for it. So going into the game, we've got a pretty available squad. Hopefully we can just finish this Apertura campaign on a high. We've got a bit of a break after this before the Clausura or the So hopefully we can finish the Apertura on a high. We've got a bit of a break after this game before the Clausura starts and the Copa Colombia starts as well. Obviously, as we said at the start of taking over at Junior, because of the fact that there's two separate league champions in a year, with the Apertura and the Clausura being separate championships and no overall champion, we decided we would have to win both the Apertura and the Clausura, not necessarily in the same season, but we'd at least have to win both of those competitions to class that as a league title, which means we're going to have at least another season in Colombia. Whether that's with Junior or whether we move on is a different matter, because we're going to have some problems come the end of this season with the squad, with almost all of them being out of contract at the end of the year and not many of them wanting to sign new deals. But we play Atletico Nacional now, get this Apertura finished, and then move on and try and do some recruitment in the break between the two seasons. So, going into this last game against Atletico Nacional, we have made a few alterations. We've brought Santiago Diaz in to give him a shot in the number 10 role. We moved Alanzinho out to the left. Guzman's come back from his injury to play at right back. And hopefully we're just looking to end the stage on a high. There's nothing riding on the game. And get us into a bit of a break before the next part of the season begins. Right, Alanzinho in off the left, back to Arboleda. Alate wide to Guzman with some space on the right. He comes in field though. Colorado over the top finds Alanzinho. His header comes back off the bar, but he was offside. Right, they're driving forward in midfield, out to the right. Herrera gets across, makes a tackle, but then it runs for their player into the box. And that was far too easy. I mean, he goes past Herrera like he wasn't there. That was just unacceptable. I mean, he gets across and makes the challenge, then backs off there, in theory, to give himself space, but Garavito just runs past him. Herrera looks like he's running in treacle. It gets a nick off the defender and goes past Tovar in goal. Right, Herrera with a throw. Diaz back to Pisciotti. Diaz finds Alanzinho. Zarate wide. Guzman low cross hammered in. It comes all the way through to Alanzinho. He fires home from 6 yards out and gets us back on level terms. So it's worked out, and then Guzman just drives forward and then just hammers it low. Alate missed it, but Alanzinho turns it home. Right, they're now attacking Garavito down this right-hand side again. This time we've kept him out wide, but he's found the ball into the box. Luckily, we've got a block on that one. It's gone behind. We've been forced into an early change. Colorado's injured, so Barra's come on. Lifted into the box. Herrera clears, but it's just going to come straight back. Oh, Zarate wins it back. Right, Guzman to Alate. And now we've given it away again. And there we are, 2-1 down. Like, every time they come forward, they look like they're going to score, which is something we've not really experienced prior to this semi-final group stage. I don't know whether it's just the sheer volume of games we've played since we took over and the lack of depth in the squad that's kind of created this as an issue. Here we are, half-time, 2-1 down, and deservedly so, really. Like I said, every time they've gone forward, it looks like they're going to score. Right. Seeing as there's nothing riding on this game, we've tried to switch things up in this second half. We've actually switched the formation up a bit that we were thinking of maybe doing going forward, just because of the lack of players that we've got that can actually play in the defensive midfield role. It doesn't make sense to have two of them in there. So we're trying a 4-1-4-1. But we'll see whether we've got the players to play that as well. Luckily, that one's straight down the throat of Tovar. And a free kick for them into the box. We've got a head on it. They've picked up the loose ball, though. And now more space on this right-hand side. We've got a head on that. And hopefully we can bring this clear now. Right, Torres to Zarate. Back to Torres on this left-hand side with some space. Driving forward. Back to Herrera, who cuts in. Shoots. And the keeper makes a pretty easy save in the end. But that was more promising. Right, Guzman with a throw. Zarate back to him. Guzman finds Alanzinho. His cross is headed over by Gallard. Right, more changes. Unfortunately, Carlos Torres, who was looking a bit promising down that left-hand side, picked up a knock and had to go off. But we brought Palacios, Cantillo and Hulimar on. And see if we can get something from this. Guzman with a throw. Zarate back to him. Zarate finds Palacios, who's nudged off the ball. And they have given the ball away in our half. Farah goes long. Hulimar flicks it on. And it's straight into the keeper's hands. Right, Farah wins a header. Alanzinho drops deep to pick it up. Palacios. Back to Zarate. Alanzinho finds Hulimar in the box. And he can't get the shot on target. He's doing better off going with his left foot, of course. But right, Gallard with a free kick. Finds Zarate, who fires home, but he must have been offside. Had to have been offside. But obviously not. I mean, whoever that was by the penalty spot definitely was offside, but Zarate takes it on his chest and hammers the volley past the keeper, levels it up at 2-2, and we have been a lot better in the second half, and it was very, very close to being offside. And there we are, full time, 2-2. I mean, on the first half performance, we were terrible. Second half, we were a bit better to begin with, but a lot better towards the end of the game. And we were really pushing for that equaliser, which we managed to get. But now, it's the end of the Apertura for us. It's time for a break. Time to see if we can do some business in the transfer market before the Clausura begins. And there we are, the end of another episode. And I think when we looked at the junior squad at the start of the season, if you'd said we'd got so close to making it to the final of the Apertura, I think I would have probably taken it. Obviously, as we've discussed, we need to win both the Apertura and the Clausura at some point to cross off the league title for Colombia. But we know we're right up there challenging. As we said, we've got a bit of a break now before the Clausura begins. We've got the Copa Argentina. As we said, we've got a bit of a break before the Clausura begins and the Copa de Colombia as well. So hopefully we can do a bit of business in the transfer market and come back and match the performance levels. And obviously the main aim to begin with is to make it into the top 8 of the Clausura, to make it into the semi-final phase, to try and pick up that trophy as well. Join us next time to see how we get on. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.